This is a KMVT sports presentation.
The CCS Division III Volleyball quarterfinals here today on KMVT Channel 6 Mountain View, along with George Devine, Andre Polizzi with you from the Herman J. Feen Sports Pavilion, the gym on the campus of Archbishop Mitty High School. Mitty, one of the powerhouses in Bay Area volleyball, especially the last couple of years, and Del Mar kind of upstaging them this year. But today it's the Mountain View Spartans against the Palo Alto Vikings, a Division III quarterfinal matchup. Mountain View coming in with a mark of 23-8. And there you see the Mountain View Spartans, a 9-3 league mark this year, against Palo Alto, a 17-12 mark this year under head coach Nick Velicities, and a 6-6 league mark. And they are introducing the Mountain View non-starters right now. And George, these two teams met earlier this year, a couple of good matches, one that took only 3, and a Halloween fest that went full 5.
These teams are not strangers to each other. They know each other very well. Mountain View very methodical in that first match back on October 10th, 15-8, 16-14, and 15-10. But you talk about that Halloween match, every goblin and ghost and everything else in Santa Clara County was in the building. Nick Velicities was very frustrated by the play of his club, and so is Steven San Anastasio of Mountain View. That match was decided. It started out 15-5 Palo Alto as we look at the Mountain View head coach Steve San Anastasio. Then Mountain View bounced back, winning 15-4, 15-3, and they dropped the fourth game 6-15, and then came back running away 15-5. The match went over 2 hours, so there wasn't much trick-or-treating time left for the participants, but a really weird match.
Earlier on in this playoff, in the opening round, Mountain View defeated Burlingame, count of 3-1, 15-5, 15-2. Lost game 3, 9-15, came back and won game 4, 15-11, and that game was at Mountain View. That match was at Mountain View. The Palo Alto Vikings, there you see Palo Alto, defeated Cupertino, and it was a struggle, George, at Palo Alto, 3-2. As you see the Division III bracket, more on that match in just a second, but Del Mar already advancing to the semifinals after beating Sacred Heart Cathedral earlier here today at Mitty. So Del Mar advancing all right, and you see down there on the bottom Palo Alto versus Mountain View. Palo Alto, George, defeated Cupertino, but it wasn't easy. 13-15, 11-15, came back down 0-2 and won 15-4, 15-4, and then game 5, 15-7. A pretty good brawl at the Palo Alto gym.
Well, when you get into the postseason in volleyball or for any sport in the CCS, for that matter, you're dealing with a single elimination bracket. Anything can happen. A lot of times during the year, a team's down 2-0. They might fold up the tents and go home early, but they have a tomorrow. Here, there is no tomorrow. The fans know it, the players know it, and the coaches, of course, know it. Mountain View the other night in a very similar situation. They had a 2-0 lead. They were really dominating the game against the match against Burlingame, and they blew the third game because they just didn't communicate well. There was a little bit of over-substitution. The players who came off the bench didn't work well into the mixture of things. And then Burlingame also had a lead to start the fourth game of the match. So Mountain View, a very shaky team the other night. This match could go a very quick 3 or go a very long 5. I don't know what to tell you until it's over.
Well, we've seen it both ways. A 3-game match and a 5-game match. There in the back of your screen, you saw our official for this contest, our down ref, Diana Craner, our head ref, Frank Mitchell, and the lines people today, Jim Dunn and Cecil Worthen. So an all-working crew. No students having to work the lines, and here we go. Mountain View serves to start this one, and they can't. The Palo Alto Vikings can't return it. It is 1-0 in favor of Mountain View, and doing the serving is Liz Farmer. Liz always, it seems, starts off matches and games serving for Mountain View. Here's a good deep serve. The setter for Palo Alto is Allison Arella, and the setter for Mountain View is Jody Antipas. There you see Arella. And a good roof right there. by Annie Teep. And Katie Azaparty getting up there. There's Katie. Katie's had some really good matches this year, helping out Christy Leschuk on the front line, 2-0 MV.
Very smart block right there by the Spartans. They need to keep the run going here and really frustrate Palo Alto. Force the Vikings into a lot of mistakes. That's the trick.
Another block by Annie Teep. And now into the net with the shot goes Emily Brown, and it's 3-0 Mountain View. Emily Brown, one of the big guns for Palo Alto. There's Liz Farmer, who's on a 3-0 serving run, as you see the score on match game number 1. Farmer, deep sinking serve. Here's Arella with a set. Going over to Brown in a bad set. And Teepus winds up with it for Mountain View. Now she sets for Azaparty. Now Arella set it over that time to Jenny Briz, and Briz whiffed on it, trying to tomahawk it over the net. And right away we're going to get a timeout to Nick Velicities, and 4-0 in game 1. George, you said it could go a quick 3. That's what it's looking like right now, but these two teams have warred a couple times this year.
Very cautious right now, Andre. Palo Alto came in. They don't look like they know what's going on. But this timeout, Nick Velicities might take the chance and say, ladies, this is the situation. This is the end of our season if we lose tonight. But if we work things out, the season can go on a little bit. So that's what they're trying to talk about right now and see if they can put a stop to the end of this 4-0 Mountain View run. But as I mentioned a moment ago, Mountain View forcing Palo Alto into a lot of mistakes right now. Mistakes will hurt you this time of year.
Some of the Mountain View and Palo Alto fans here, and a few people that are fans of Archbishop Mitty starting to gather as well. Archbishop Mitty will be hosting an opponent, I believe Monte Vista, little later tonight, 7 o'clock. They're scheduled to go after this match.
Division 1 match here tonight.
Mitty trying to repeat. Hard shot by Emily Brown, saved by Christy Leschuk. And now Azaparty's shot is roof. Good blocking up front by Allison Arella and Emily Brella. And Emily Brown with Allison Arella. And the first side out for Palo Alto.
Mountain View got caught playing up into the net. Annie Teep was up there, of course, but Christy Leschuk also shadowing behind. Left a lot of real estate open in the back.
Allison Arella, slap serve. Good save by Teep. And he bumps it over. Jenny Briz with a nice slap shot. And knocked down. The Teep shot blocked down by Briz, Brown, and Michelle Foltz, number 9. And Arella will serve again. First point for Pally, it's 1-4. There you see your score. And the first service error of the match. And back to serve for Mountain View will be Katie Azaparty. We're in game number 1, best of 5, quarterfinal. And a service error now for each team as Azaparty misses. Katie Azaparty, 5'8" senior.
You know, one thing I just noticed in the building, Azaparty with the service error, where she served from is right near an open door. There's a nice draft coming in right now. That can make it tough to do something athletic.
Christy Leschuk with a hammer. That is called in. That is a side out for Mountain View, and Annie Teep will serve next. There's Christy Leschuk, who had 16 kills in the match against Burlingame that they won 3-1. That's service error number 2 on Mountain View, and both teams not serving too well here in the early on.
Christy also made her on-camera debut the other night on KMVT, and she said it's harder to be on TV than it is to play volleyball in the CCS. I would have thought it the other way around.
Yes, we will. You'll just holler.
Emily Brown, 6'1", middle blocking senior. And Teepus getting some instructions from Coach Steven Santanastazzo.
You've been asked.
Why was it not an overlap when 9 was the farthest right and 7 was inside of
Now we're
play.
checking the
On the serve.
rotations again
This last serve,
Yeah.
to be sure that everything is correct. You can hear a little bit of it in the
I
background.
didn't call it, I didn't see it. I was paying attention to you guys. What did Diane say?
She said it wasn't an overlap.
Okay, fine, then it's not an overlap.
But why wasn't it? That's why I'm asking why it
What
wasn't.
did she say?
Well,
I
she-
can't answer you because I didn't see. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay.
Okay?
Can you ask her about it?
Let's play. Let's play.
Coach
Let's go ahead and play.
Santastazo
Okay.
having his captain,
Ladies.
Jody Antipus, the setter, check with head ref Frank Mitchell. And Mitchell said, I didn't see it. Our net Mike picking that up. And we continue on at 1-4. Emily Brown serving for Palo Alto. Good chip shot that time by Lindsay Terry, number 17. Lindsay, a 6'1" middle blocking junior. She'll be one of the go-to players next year for Palo Alto. Kind of next year's Emily Brown. Brown serving again at 2-4. Christy Leschuk has that one shot back at her, and she punches it back at Palo Alto. Christy Leschuk saw that one block, George, and she came back and fisted it right back over.
Leschuk stays with the ball. This is tough to do. On her heels, knocks it over, and the side out, Christy Leschuk, right place, right time.
Palo Alto scored the last two. It's 4-2 Mountain View. Emily Brown saves that one. Good deep bump by Briz. Paige Berry knocks it down. And side out Palo Alto. And after an early blitz by Mountain View, Palo Alto, George, seems to have straightened themselves out a little bit.
Paige Barry with good positioning right there. Palo Alto's communicating better, and they're not making errors.
Leschuk's shot saved by Briz and Michelle Fultz. And Palo Alto can't get this. So side out Mountain View again. As the team's trading some side outs here, and Christy Leschuk.
6 of the last 7 side outs in this match unscored. Actually, 6 of the last 8.
Antipus for Azaparty. And the AA combo is denied that time. Lindsay Terry comes over the net and knocks it down. Side out Palo Alto.
Courtney Rose was down on the floor and out of position to help out. That was what lost it for Mountain View.
Paige Berry with the serve this time. Here's Antipus for Melanie Eustace. First time we called her name, and that's in on the back line. Side out Mountain View, as that's 2 times that Mountain View has put it on the back line and got it called in. And George, what a difference it can make. No shreds of doubt among these lines persons that are here to watch and not just be students. Here's Emily Brown. Good dig by Leschuk. Now Azaparty drops it home, and Palo Alto into the net anyway. Side out, or actually point Mountain View. And Mountain View has a 5-2 lead now. Let's look at this again.
Courtney Rose did a great job keeping the rally alive initially, and then Azaparty there to put the exclamation point on it.
Another low dig by Leschuk. That's 2 good ones in a row. Off the Palo Alto touch, and Annie Teep scores 6-2 in favor of MV. The Spartans with a 4-point lead again.
The Spartans want to open that lead up, get another good run going. Steve Santastazo doesn't want any gray hairs to appear tonight, especially after the match on Thursday.
Leschuk with another dig. Arella tried the set slam, but Mountain View ready for that. Azaparty, and this one is long. Side out for the Palo Alto Vikings.
Azaparty trying to make the best of a bad angle. Didn't exactly get on top of the ball, and a good server coming back in Christian Trowbridge.
Trowbridge, 5'8", defensive specialist senior. Melanie Eustace, and that one is in. Mountain View finding the spots on the floor right now that are open, and Eustace will come out after this play.
Eustace's left-handed hammer right here. Nice job going down the line. That's tough to do, crossing her body with that left arm and painting the sideline.
Back to the top of the service rotation. Liz Farmer back in there. Liz, 5'4" junior. Emily Brown, that's off the Mountain View touch, but it goes all the way back over the Palo Alto side. AA combo. Emily Brown, and Antipus bumps that one. Antipus had 32 assists against Burlingame earlier this week in round 1. Mountain View can't save that one. Good job by Emily Brown that time, and Allison Arella to put it down. And side out Palo Alto.
Bad location was the key for Mountain View losing service. Spartans were just not in the right places.
Arella off the metal part of the net holder, and that is service error number 2 on Palo Alto.
You talk about not even in the right place. That serve was gone from the get-go.
Yes. Arella for Brown, and Emily slams it home. That is a side out for the Vikings, and they will serve at 2-6. Boy, Emily Brown just set up beautifully, George.
This is a nicely dressed up kill right across the floor. Christy Leschuk saying, what just went past my ear?
Now she's sent a few of those past other people's ears, and she tries to right there. It misses, and that's a point for Palo Alto. They're on the board 3-6. 3-6 here in game 1. There you go. Little KMVT box. Another shot that appears to be long. It is called long. 4-6 now. Palo Alto has allowed 4 points, scored 2 points, allowed 2 more, and then scored 2 more. Leschuk has that one shot back at her. A good block by Brown and Michelle Foltz. Michelle Foltz getting some good play here early on, 5'11" junior.
The last time Leschuk was faced with that situation, she recovered. That time Foltz ate her up with the block.
A long serve by Briz, but 3 straight points for Palo Alto before they turn it over, and it's 5-6. Service error number 3 on the Vikings. Here's Annie Teep. No aces yet in this match. That one is in. Paige Berry saying for Palo Alto that, hey, I can play the line too.
I'll tell you, the team's really doing a good job tonight painting the lines. And as you mentioned, Andre, we have professional lines people out there tonight, which doesn't mean there's much of an argument when you get a shot like that down.
Well, it doesn't mean they're going to be better. What it does mean is they're going to be more confident and not afraid to make the call, and they're not going to have to worry about who they're making the call for.
And usually more consistent.
There you go. Off the roof here at the Brother Herman J. Feen Sports Pavilion, and that one into the net. That is a point Mountain View, and it is now 7-5 in favor of the Spartans. Now wait a minute. We will instead have side out Mountain View, and it's still 6-5. I beg your pardon on that one. Here's Arella. Now Leschuk, and she knocks it down. This will be point number 7 for Mountain View, and it's 7-5.
This is an important sequence for Mountain View. Christy Leschuk is working the far side of the floor, and we're going to see her right there, knock it down the middle. A lot of pressure right now. Jody Antipas is serving. You don't want any service errors here because you want to maximize your opportunity with Leschuk on the near side.
Mountain View blocks it down, Melanie Eustace. And it is 8-5, and Courtney Rose helping out on that one, and there you see them. Eustace number 7, Rose number 10.
Great block right there.
Yes, there you saw him with the block, and a long serve. Service error number 3 for Mountain View, each club with 3. 8-5 in favor of Mountain View, but Palo Alto now with control of the serve, and to do so, Michelle Foltz. Leschuk, and that's too long. But Palo Alto is called into the net and side out Mountain View, and Palo Alto, George, 3 or 4 times now has gone into the net.
Common mistake made in this game, but something this time of year you cannot tolerate. You gotta have good court presence. You gotta know where that net is.
Leschuk with a fish shot. Paige Berry. Antipas with a bump. Now back to her, and she sends it over. Arella for Lindsay Terry. Terry dinks it, and it's home. That one out of the reach of Eustace, and side out Palo Alto.
Mountain View is gambling, and they played up. They were playing for the block, both Rose and Eustace went to the net. They made it very hard to play for the other Spartans.
Antipas to Azzopardi, but Azzopardi hits it too low. Point Palo Alto, making it 6-8.
Azzopardi again playing a bad angle. I just noticed, Andre, she has tape on a couple of the fingers of her hitting hand, her right hand. I wonder if that's a factor.
Melanie Eustace using her right hand that time. That one off the touch. And a point for Palo Alto. It is now 7-8.
Jenny Briz, a veteran player, a savvy player, coming up with a big play right there. She's not that strong, she's not that explosive, but she picks her spots well.
Joust at the net. Winds up on Palo Alto's side. Leschuk, another dig. And it was almost worth a point. Emily Brown and Leschuk again. And now this time Mountain View can't return it. We're tied 8-8.
Well, this is the kind of situation Mountain View can ill afford. That's not keeping the ball alive. You got to get it over. You can't let Palo Alto get back into this game.
8-8, game one. Leschuk into the net. Palo Alto, their first lead of the game.
And remember, this was a 4-0 match. So this is a 9-4 run mounted by Palo Alto into this Mountain View timeout.
Nick Velicities, not smiling, but got to be happy his club up by 1 here in game one. Andre Polizzi along with George Devine at the Brother Herman J. Feen Sports Pavilion on the campus of Archbishop Mitty. And a good hard-fought game one. Looks like George, perhaps, maybe we'll have that hard 5.
Well, I'll tell you, the Mitty fans out here don't want to see that tonight because that means their match is going to start later. But Palo Alto and Mountain View are very capable of doing that. Two very good clubs, two very savvy veteran teams. They had a lot of battles this year in the De Anza division of the Santa Clara Valley League. Pali finished at 6-6, but it was a tough 6-6.
Mountain View, by the way, in the Santa Clara Valley De Anza division, finished at 23-8, 9-3 in the De Anza division. And there's someone working on a Go Pali sign.
There's our artist in residence.
There's a lot of banners up here on the wall, but I don't think she had anything to do with them. I think they made a couple of the Mitty students make those.
A lot of markers were used to make these banners. A lot of markers probably in the trash can now with the way I draw.
Paige Berry with a low sinking serve as we return to action at 9-8 Palo Alto. Eustace, and sheer shot is too low. Palo Alto a 10-8 lead now.
Well, right now the Mountain View outside hitters are getting bad angles to work with. Jody Antipas has to work on her setting a little bit. Here's a key set.
Leschuk, and that one off the touch and goes down. And eventually when you hit as hard as Christy Leschuk does, one is going to go through a defender's hand.
The trick is you got to get the right amount of elevation and float on the ball for Leschuk to do something with it. Because if it doesn't go up high enough and you're coming down, and most of the Mountain View hitters come down on the ball, it's going to go into the net.
Nick Velicities a second ago. His club lost twice to Mountain View this year. They'd love to upset him in the playoffs. Annie Teep sneaks one in, but Palo Alto ready for it. Paige Berry, her shot's too long, and that is a point for Mountain View. They're back within 1. It's 9-10.
And another big opportunity coming up for the Spartans. Courtney Rose, a decent server.
9-10. Azzopardi knocks it down. Slap that one right in the middle of the floor. And we're tied again at 10.
You give an outside hitter a good angle and a good ball to work with, and this is what they're going to do. Here's Azzopardi number 2, a nice little floater, middle of the floor, nobody home.
AA combo, Antipas Azzopardi getting it done once again. Paige Berry, that one off the top of the net, but it went through. Leschuk, her shot is in. Christy Leschuk painting the back row, and Mountain View has the lead back 11-10, 3 in a row.
That was a Gaylord Perry attack because that thing sunk like a spitball.
Nick Velicities, having seen his team climb all the way up to a 10-8 lead after being down by 4-0 and 8-5. Came back to take a 10-8 lead and now find themselves down 11-10. And this is going to be a hard-fought finish to game one.
Both of the timeouts Palo Alto has called in this first game have been stop the bleeding timeouts. If you remember, he called one when it was 4-0 Mountain View. Right here, Mountain View has scored 3 straight points, another stop the bleeding timeout after surrendering the lead.
Mountain View, by the way, finished second in the De Anza division standings this year, and Palo Alto with that 6-6 record right in the middle of the pack. And just some great coaching in this league. Dave Gamblin, of course, at St. Francis, and Paul Lyles, as you see the De Anza division standings there from this season, thanks to our crew in the truck today for helping us out with that. There you see Los Altos. Paul Lyles got to be disappointed to be 6-6 in league play this year. They were talking about going undefeated before a match at Mountain View even.
Everybody does on the first day of the season though, Andre.
Yeah, but they were talking like that when they were 4-0 before that match with Mountain View, at Mountain View. But just to finish up on that point, some great coaching in this league as Mountain View scores again. 12-10, Katie Azaparty knocking another one home. And Mountain View 3 points away from taking home game one.
Yeah, and Los Altos hasn't been the same since that loss to Mountain View either. Just different personality for that team.
And of course, lest we forget, over at Los Gatos, Joe Rip. Emily Brown. Azaparty. This one too low. And that one goes down. Melanie Eustace, 13-10. George, isn't it when you try and spike it, it comes off the net and you bump it again? Isn't that a double hit?
Unless there was contact on the opposite side, perhaps there was.
Well, that would be reason to make it not a double hit, right?
No double hit there. You get a fresh 3.
Must have got some fingers of somebody on Palo Alto. Lucky break for Mountain View, 13-10. Arella for Briz. Briz with a harder shot than anyone would expect she could hit. And Mountain View able to return it, and now Palo Alto struggling with it, and Briz again. That one is in. Mountain View can't believe the call, but Jenny Briz with back-to-back shots there in the last couple of frames, and that one went in on the floor.
Jenny Briz put eyes on that ball as it crossed the court. Trowbridge on to serve now, and Trowbridge a good server. Somebody you have to be very careful with your locations on.
Saw Cecil Worthen there, one of our officials. That serve is long, and it is side out or service error number 4 for Palo Alto. Side out Mountain View, and they will bring Liz Farmer back in to serve. That means we have gone through the Mountain View serving rotation twice.
Steve Sananastazzo hoping Farmer can do what she did earlier, and that's preside over a run, a 4-0 run to open the match.
Mountain View currently on the longest run of the match at 5 straight points. Antipus. Arella for Briz. And that one not where Arella wanted it, and Mountain View finds themselves at game point here in game number 1 as Arella couldn't put that one where she wanted it.
She put it into the ceiling.
That'll change your direction. Here's Liz Farmer, game point number 1. Arella for Brown. And Emily hammers it off the touch of Annie Teep. And Palo Alto will take it back. Let's see if they can do something more with this side out this time than a service error.
This can't be a one and done as Allison Arella will get the ball. You gotta put some points on the board. You gotta force this so it goes to a 16-14 type situation.
Jody Antipus says not to be. Game point number 2 coming up, and Antipus can get up there and try that set slam and make it work like that.
She has a good set slam, and she's not a great jumper, so you don't expect it out of her. But she picks her spots and does it well.
Katie Azaparty on game point number 2. Emily Brown says not yet. Les Chuck gets the game point and brings it home with the hammer. 15-10 in game 1. Mountain View wins. A hard-fought battle here in game 1. Palo Alto battled back and at one point had a 10-8 lead, but Mountain View scores the last 7 to win 15-10. You're watching high school volleyball on KMVT. The Mountain View Spartans trying to do what St. Francis did last year and what Los Gatos did in 1993, win a CCS volleyball championship. Andre Polizzi along with George Devine here at Archbishop Mitty High School. Mountain View wins game 1 15-10. And here to tell you about game 2 with the play-by-play story is George.
Thanks a lot, Andre. The winner of this match will either be taking on King City or Los Gatos. Those two clubs hooked up earlier today over at Leland High School. We're unsure of the outcome over there, but still a lot of volleyball to be played here tonight. These two clubs have a lot of history against each other.
You know what I should actually say, George, is I said what St. Francis did last year. What St. Francis has done 5 of the last 6 years, dating back to 1990, won a CCS championship. And Los Gatos, of course, you just mentioned them, in 1993.
Allison Arello will start game 2 with a Palo Alto serve. As a party. Sets it across for As a Party, a set by Antipas. Here's Emily Brown, and it's out for the side out. Game 1 took 30 minutes, and Liz Farmer, who served a 4-0 run to open up game 1, will open up game 2 with the first Mountain View serve on the side out. Off the teep block, and Antipas digs it out. Rose keeps it alive. Arella to the net. Nice dig by Courtney Rose. Here's As a Party, and it's down on the floor. And Mountain View has the early lead, 1-0 in game number 2.
Well, that's 8 in a row for Mountain View if you continue back to game 1. The Spartans finding their groove. They have beaten Palo Alto in 3 earlier this year, and they've also gone the tough route, beating them in 5. So Mountain View's prepared for whichever route this match takes.
Farmer floats over. Arella, long set for Brown. That's down. And a side out for Palo Alto.
Well, Emily Brown's going to have to take charge. There you see Emily, 6'1", great player. Palo Alto's best player. And she's really going to have to step up and have a couple people help her out if they want to take it to Mountain View in this match.
Here's Jenny Briz. Set for As a Party. She tucks it in the back line, and it's 1 and done for Palo Alto. Mountain View will try to add to a 1-0 advantage.
Well, from what I've noticed, George, so far, as we take a look at this As a Party shot, which just is in, what I've noticed is the crowd is split about 50-50. There's about as many Palo Alto fans here as there is Mountain View. Just thought you'd like to know that.
Brown says Mountain View, you're 1 and done. Well, I'll tell you, anyone who can come out here on a rainy, wet Saturday night when the road conditions are horrible, you got to hand it to them. And Emily Brown to serve with the draft coming from behind her where the door is open.
Well, both teams have to deal with that, though, so.
So Annie Teep floats it over. Side out Mountain View. 3 straight side out exchanges after Mountain View started up 1-0.
Well, you got to think, though, that Mountain View feels like they're in control, and it's up to Palo Alto to change that momentum.
Here's Paige Barry, dug by Annie Teep. Close set at the net for Leschuk. She hammers it off the block. Point, Mountain View.
9 in a row scored by Mountain View, the longest run of the game. Each team has also had a 5-0 run in there. And there's Leschuk with the hammer. As we said, when you hit it as hard as Christy Leschuk does, more often than not, it's going to go through the defender's block hands.
Out of the back row, that's Brown. Long set for Leschuk, far side. Brown digs it out, but it goes into the net. Palo Alto couldn't keep it alive. Lindsay Terry, the 6'1" junior, having a tough time up front. And the over-the-shoulder shot, looking over Steve Sananastaso's shoulder.
Well, he's got to be like what he's seeing. I don't know if we want to see the over-the-shoulder shot of what Nick Felicities is seeing right now.
Here's Paige Barry. That's down for a side out. So Palo Alto gets the ball back, trailing 3-0 here in game number 2. Mountain View won the first game 15-10. The CCS Division III quarterfinals on KMVT. Along with Andre Polizzi, I'm George Devine, and that's Michelle Foltz serving. Pushed over by As a Party. Side out, Mountain View.
Well, As a Party there, as you so aptly described it, pushed it over. She just saw that big hole in the middle, There's been a pretty good hole in the middle for most of this match for Palo Alto so far. As a party spied it, put it there, and there you go.
That was Farmer's serve. Here's Paige Barry into the block, into the net. Point Spartans. Courtney Rose on the spot that time. And make that Antipus back to play it. Briz has a tough time on the dig. Barry keeps it alive. Free balled over by Brown. Here's a tight squeeze for Rose. And the Vikings are in the net.
Well, what you should have said, George, is the Vikings are in the net again. First time here in game 2, but several times in this match they've done that, and it cost them a point.
And I'm sure that's what they're going to talk about in this charge timeout. Our score is 5-0. Palo Alto on the bottom end of that. They made a lot of mistakes, but right now Mountain View's doing a very good job. The Spartans are picking their spots and really dividing the floor well.
The Spartans are kind of relaxed there a little bit. They know they're ahead. They know that in their heads they're the better team. They've got the better record. They've played better so far in this match, although Palo Alto gave them everything they wanted in the first 2/3 of game number 1. There you see some of the fans enjoying CCS quarterfinal Division III volleyball. And Del Mar winning here earlier today. Del Mar, by the way, George, won the 1995 CCS Division III. So somebody's gonna have to go through them to get to the title.
That's right. The 2 champions in Divisions 1 and 3 last year coming out of the Mount Hamilton division of the Blossom Valley Athletic League. Mitty won in Division 1, Del Mar won in Division 3.
Your good friends at Monte Vista Christian winning Division 4. Sacred Heart Prep of Atherton winning Division 5.
Short set over the middle for Terry. She finds open floor. And so out of the timeout, Palo Alto gets a side out. And Paige Barry will do the serving.
Number 23, Paige Barry, back to serve.
Paige Barry, a 6-foot outside hitting sophomore. And her and Lindsay Terry are gonna have to be the big guns next year for Pally. But right now, Pally needs everybody.
That's the Leschuk hammer that Palo Alto tries to retrieve. Play out of the back row by Brown. Briz digs it towards the net. Antipus to the floor and Eustace shovels over. Now a tight squeeze over the middle for Terry. Here's Leschuk to the net, to the floor. Side out Spartans.
Well, perfect execution of an outside hitter. Slammo, Christy Leschuk knocks that one home, and she gets to hit the ball again twice in a row because she's serving.
Over the middle for Terry, dug by Leschuk. Tight squeeze for Rose, but Barry plays it. Here's Jenny Briz. Into the block, outside the antenna. Point Spartans.
Mountain View really excited. 6-0 here in game number 2. 13 straight points scored by the Spartans. They've almost scored a straight game, 15 in a row, 2 more.
Here's Leschuk with a floater. Tight squeeze for Emily Brown. Long set for Azaparty. Long run for Arella. And into the net, Emily Brown with a hitting error. And Mountain View has rallied off 7 straight here in game number 2. And if you go back to game number 1, 16 straight by my count. Not counting side outs. That's tucked into the back row by Lindsay Terry.
Yeah, George, a great scoring run by Mountain View, mixed among a few side outs, but after being down 10-8 in game 1, they came back and reeled off the last 7 to make it 15-10, and of course the first 7 here in game 2, so 14 straight victorious points on the scoreboard.
It's the new math, Andre, but Melanie Eustace, the lefty, takes care of things right there.
Melanie Eustace, we saw her have a couple good matches this year against Los Altos.
And Courtney Rose from the far corner on serve. Played out of the back row. Here's Brown up front. Rose has to go to the floor as a party to keep it alive. Teep to the net, into the net, and a side out for the Vikings. Nothing went right for Mountain View. Looked like a very disorganized fire drill. Allison Arella to play the ball. 0 serves 7 in game number 2. Here's tight squeeze for Teep. Palo Alto hits it out. And Mountain View with their 8th point here in game number 2. Make it a side out. And Nick Velicities getting frustrated with his club. No one he uses, sits down, and Liz Farmer is back.
Well, he hasn't quite found the answer in this, the third meeting between these two. First two of which his team came up on the short end.
Here's Brown to the net. Leschuk will keep it alive. Now it has to be free ball by Azaparty. And that sneaks over. That snuck over and was touched for the point. How do you like that? A free ball point by Katie Azaparty.
Well, here you'll see the 15th straight point, and whoops, that just off of the Palo Alto touch. You can't always hit them perfect, and when you're a little bit dispirited being down 7-0, now 8-0, that doesn't help.
And a lift is called against Mountain View. Palo Alto will get it back as Arella gets a chance to serve.
There you saw our head referee today.
Frank Mitchell with the call. This is Jenny Briz on service as 0 deals 8. Swing play for Teep. Mountain View into the net as Teep was led too far. Palo Alto notches their first point here in game number 2, and their first point after seeing Mountain View score 15 straight. Teep on a swing play. That'll do it. Side out Spartans.
Well, Palo Alto probably just glad to be on the scoreboard at this point. Mountain View's been so dominant here in game 2. And Mountain View back with the ball again.
Here's Azaparty, it's an ace. Emily Brown took her eyes off of it for a second, and it dropped in for the point. 9-1 our score in game number 2.
Not too often you see 10 points into game number 2 where the first ace comes. Some good serving and bad serving in game 1, but no aces.
Timeout being called right now. That means Palo Alto is out of timeouts here in game number 2. The Spartans up 9-1, but don't go anywhere yet. We've talked about the history between these two clubs. They went 5 the last time they met. Mountain View lost the first game, then won the next 2, lost the 4th, and then won the 5th, 15-5. So anything is possible with these two teams.
Well, the Spartans looking very dominant in the first game and a half. And if they get up 2-0, Palo Alto will have a lot more difficult time coming back from 2 games to none down against Mountain View than they did against Cupertino. They did a pretty good job in those 3rd and 4th games, as you see Barbara Kaufman handling the scorekeeping duties today.
Trying to keep her hands warm too.
So Palo Alto hoping they don't have to come back down from 2-0 again, and that would be a lot of hard work against Mountain View.
Azaparty serving, Mountain View leading 9-1 in game 2. They won the first game of this match 15-10, trying to advance to the CCS semis. Another ace. And so Azaparty right now has the paintbrush and the masking tape out, having her way with Palo Alto.
Well, after no aces in the first match and a half, game and a half of this match, 2 in a row. How about that?
Here's Paige Barry into the block. Spartans slow to react, and it's in for the side out.
Well, you won't see miscommunication like that very often from this Mountain View squad.
Here they started to celebrate prematurely. So Barry goes back up front, Trowbridge takes a seat, and Brown to serve. Azaparty plays out of the back row, set slam by Antipas, side out.
Jody Antipas gets a lot more credit for her assist than anything else, but what would you expect from a server? 32 assists against Burlingame early this week, but that's already 2 kills for her.
Here's Annie Teep into the net. One and done on that side out for Mountain View. Steve Sananastazio's club pacing this second game 10-1. Michelle Fultz will serve for Palo Alto as they try to erase a 9-point deficit in the second game. Tight squeeze for Rose into the block. Palo Alto has to scramble, and it's in. The linesman said in.
But we had an overrule by our head ref.
Let's watch the replay.
Oh, that's out. That is definitely out. Good overrule on the part of Frank Mitchell.
That's in for the ace. The last 3 Spartan points via the ace. And Jody Antipus takes his spot, says let's try to make it 4 in a row. Reception error, another ace, 4 in a row, and it's 12-1 here in game 2. Mountain View trying to run away, but still a lot of hill left to climb for the Spartans.
Well, the hill isn't looking very low at this point.
Another ace! 5 in a row. 13-1 the score. Palo Alto has used both of their timeouts. There's nothing they can do to stop the momentum except come up with a big play on the floor. Here's another floater. This is Paige Barry towards the net on the floor. And Palo Alto gets that big play they need out of Barry. And side out to the Vikings.
Well, Palo Alto looking for any moral victory they can come up with here in game 2 to give themselves a high to get off on for game 3.
As a party, stayed away from that service error, and the ball back to Mountain View. The hammer, Christy Leschuk to serve. Riz with the dig. Confusion with Arella and Terry. That drops in. We're at game point in game 2. 14-1 Spartans trying to go up 2 games to none in the CCS quarterfinals. Here's Leschuk's serve. Antipus has to hustle. Rose plays it up for Azzopardi. Arella for Briz. Leschuk out of the back row. Here's Christie for the game. Arella, a tight squeeze up front. And Palo Alto gets a little clemency, trailing 14-1. Getting the side out on game point.
In game 1, they were able to fight off a game point. And in game 2, they're able to fight off a game point, but they got to come back a lot further this time if they're going to steal this one.
This is Christian Trowbridge. That's out. Mountain View gets another chance at a 2 games to none lead. 6th service error by Palo Alto. Here's Courtney Rose from the left corner. Arella near side for Brown. Rose off the touch. And it's a point for the Vikings. Side out for the Vikings. So Arella will serve. The Viking ship hasn't been sunk yet. Leschuk. Here's Azzopardi over the net. Arella over the middle for Brown into the block. Mountain View has to scramble. Here's Eustace setting it up for Azzopardi. Arella with time to Brown. On the floor, there's your Viking point. And it's 14-2. Palo Alto, a team that will not go away.
Well, one team will go away in this division. Great coaching never lets you die. And Coach S says, hey, let's get this done.
I want to know if he had his potato tonight. He had French fries, that counts. Teep into the Brown block. And it's 14-3, and Brown keeping her Viking teammates afloat right now. Arella still serving. 2-0 run by the Vikings after being down 14-1.
Well, even if this doesn't work, Georgia, they don't come all the way back. It'll give them a little bit of momentum for game 3.
Eustace, the lefty, is wide. No overrule, so it's a point for Palo Alto.
Well, Antipas, Eustace, Leschuk in the gang, and Coach S looking for a touch.
The ball was hanging over the line, did not touch the line. No, I'm talking on a block attempt.
I did not see the tip at all. All I saw was the ball.
Thank you.
So Frank Mitchell concludes the sidebar. And so it's 14-4, 3-0 run for Palo Alto.
Bet you Coach S will want to see the tape on that one.
Here's a floater. Scramble for Azaparty. To the net, setting up the block. Pally can't handle it. Mountain View gets another chance.
Game point number 3 coming up for Mountain View, George.
And a good server coming on the floor for the Spartans, and Liz Farmer. Liz Farmer presided over that 4-0 run to open the match. Here a chance to put her club up 2-0 in the best-of-5 affair. Rose with a tough dig. Here's Leschuk, sets it up front for Azaparty. Palo Alto plays the free ball. This is over the middle for Brown. That's down. So 2 game points go by the wayside for Mountain View, and they keep letting Pally back into game 2.
Well, they've got a lot of climbing still to do, but yeah, Palo Alto's still in this.
4 plays at the 14, and that's out. And so another game point coming up.
Service error number 7 on Palo Alto. No aces to speak of for the Vikings.
So Azaparty on to serve and see if they can go up 2-0. And they do! An ace for Azaparty. 15-4, the final in game number 2. Mountain View goes up 2-0 in this best-of-5 CCS Division III quarterfinal match. You're watching Prep Volleyball on KMVT. Palo Alto finds themselves in the circumstance they were in the other night, down 2-0. Mountain View winning the first 2 games of this match, 15-10 and 15-4. And for more play, and not on a Nintendo, here's Andre Polizzi.
No, I didn't bring my little Game Boy, did I? I don't have the volleyball game cartridge, unfortunately. So we'll have to go with the live action.
You know, anything that's more advanced than Pong on the old Atari, it's too high tech for me to play.
Oh, jeez.
And Tank Combat was my other favorite. I was good at Tank Combat. You want to play tonight?
Let's see how this game 3 goes first. Mountain View's Liz Farmer served to start this one off. And she's going to see her team get a point. 1-0 Mountain View to start off game number 3, and they're up 2-0. Very important for Palo Alto to get off the schneid early here in game 3 if they want to survive. That's not how it's going to happen. Point Mountain View again, 2-0. Christy Leschuk and Jody Antipas able to just watch that one drop.
This third game starting out in a very similar fashion to the first game. A lot of mix-ups on the Palo Alto side. The errors playing into the Spartan hands.
Liz Farmer again. Arella for Brown. Dug out by Courtney Rose. Azaparty off the touch. Michelle Foltz couldn't handle it. 3-0 Mountain View. Mountain View, George, let me see if I can get my math right here, has scored 25 of the last 32 points.
That sounds about right. It's that new math, though, that gives me a tough time, Andre.
That one drops down on the Mountain View side, and Palo Alto takes the side out. Well, we can review. They scored the last 7 points of game 1, 15-4 in game 2.
It's a 32-4 run, and then you add on 3, 35-4.
So 35 of 39. Wow.
That'll get you in Springfield and Cooperstown.
Shot goes long, so the Spartans take it backside out. Katie Azaparty, 5'8" senior. Hoping this isn't her last high school match. And Unless Palo Alto really pulls a great comeback, it won't be. Emily Brown knocking that one down. Side out Palo Alto. 0 serving 3, game 3. And an ace, the first of the match for Palo Alto goes to Jenny Briz, and it's 1 serving 3.
As a party gambled, she played the line and bounced off for the ace.
And Palo Alto now 2 in a row, 2 serving 3. So Palo Alto all of a sudden coming alive again. Leschuk has that one knocked back at her. She comes again and it's roofed. Good job by Emily Brown and Michelle Foltz. Palo Alto has tied it up 3-3. Leschuk rejected twice.
Huge roof right here by Emily Brown. Turns the table on Leschuk. Leschuk obviously very frustrated with the outcome of that point.
Well, you're not going to see that happen very often, and she hits that one even harder off of Allison Arella, and Arella says, give me that ball. I want to throw it at her. No. She says, give me that ball. I got to get it over there side out. And Christy Leschuk put all her frustrations into that last shot.
She had a great angle to play it.
3-3, game 3. Palo Alto cannot lose this third game. If they do, they're done. Leschuk with the laser, and that one's in. Point Mountain View. It's now 4-3 Spartans, game 3.
Leschuk just warming up. 16 kills the other night in the win over Burlingame in an extended game. Match went longer than it should have.
Service error. That is service error number 4 on Mountain View. They have 6 aces in this match. Lindsay Terry will set it up for Pally. Arella for Paige Berry. Paige Berry again. Dug out by Azaparty. Leschuk dinks one, and it's in. Christy Leschuk showing she can go both ways. Side out Spartans, and Melanie Eustace returns.
Leschuk with a nice job finding the open spot. We'll watch it again. You talk about her hammer. Well, that's, I don't know what you call it. What's a soft piece of hardware in the tool chest?
A rubber mallet.
A rubber mallet, there we go.
Anti-teep free balls. Arella for Paige Berry. Berry another chance, and Leschuk. And a mistake by Arella saving that one. Leschuk hit that one hard, and Arella made the mistake of not letting that one go.
Mountain View's had very good luck tonight on their free balls. Remember, Azaparty free ball the point over. Here's Leschuk free balling what should have been called out. The other Palo Alto players thought it was out, but Arella didn't.
5-3 Mountain View. Back set for Eustace. Paige Berry into the net, 6-3 Mountain View.
Paige Berry didn't get a very good set right there, tried to play a bad angle. Melanie Eustace got the whole thing going with her left hand.
Mountain View 6, Palo Alto 3. Mountain View 2 games, Palo Alto none yet. This one goes down for Paige Berry. Slaps that one home, side out Palo Alto.
Great crossing shot by Paige Berry. She saw Leschuk out of position. She basically put that as close as she can to the net and kept it parallel to the net. Very tough angle to play.
Lindsay Terry and a nice save by Eustace. Paige Berry, and she hammers that one home. Paige Berry 2 in a row. Point Palo Alto, and it's 4-6.
Paige Berry picked her spot well right there. Knocked it down the middle and split the floor.
Michelle Foltz serves again for Palo Alto. Mountain View doing a lot of free balling here in this third game. And Berry another chance, and 3 in a row for Paige Berry. Game 3 is the Paige Berry show.
Oh, Andre, I'll tell you right now, I think the wake-up call has been received in the Palo Alto hotel room. They've climbed back in this third game.
5 serving 6. Palo Alto must win game 3. They're down 2-0. Leschuk off the touch. And Palo Alto in the net anyway. And side out Mountain View.
That was a great job of attack by Mountain View. They had Leschuk right behind Eustace, and Palo Alto was looking at both players. It looked like Eustace was going to get the call, but Leschuk, out of the shadows, dropped it down for the side out.
Paige Berry again off of Jody Antipas, and the Vikings get it back, and now they'll get Berry forced to the back row by serving.
Berry says, well, you've seen Leschuk's hammer, there's mine.
Paige Berry with 2 more years to go. She's just a sophomore, and she'll be the big shot for Palo Alto here in the next 2 years.
I'll tell you, in this third game, she's being the big shot.
A lift called right there by Mountain View. Point Palo Alto, and we're 6-6, game 3. As a party can't get that one up enough, and Palo Alto has the lead. 7-6, Palo Alto, the first time they've led since game number 1.
Well, I'm sure they're remembering their first CCS match down 2-0. Don't go anywhere yet.
Another lift, another point Palo Alto, 5 in a row. That ties Palo Alto's best streak of the night, which they had in game 1. It's now 8-6. That shot is out.
That shot is long. Side out Mountain View.
The Spartans will take it back on a side out. Courtney Rose getting a chance to serve here at 6 serving 8. Rose 5'9" junior. Good hard free ball. Arella for Terry. Melanie Eustace. That is called in. Palo Alto can't believe it. 7-8.
Nice job tucking it in by Melanie Eustace. She put eyes on it going to the back line. Here's the lefty. And she sneaks it in somehow.
Courtney Rose. Spinning serve. Monte Vista players warming up behind us up here in the stands, which may be that loud rumbling you hear.
Either that or the 4th race at Bay Meadows this evening.
Into the mic, antenna, net, wherever you want to call it. All of the above. It's now 8-8, 2 in a row for MV.
Ocho en tres.
As a party. And the dink works. Mountain View back in control, 9-8. Where's Nick Velicities with the timeout?
I was asking myself a few moments ago during that Palo Alto run, where was Steve San Anastasia with his timeout?
They're not out of them. You get 2 per game. There's Nick Velicities.
Can't save him for tomorrow, especially when you're eliminated. They don't carry over to next season.
Good try from the back row a moment ago by Brown, and it eventually comes to fruition. Brown's hard slap winds up getting a side out.
A lot of miscommunication by the Spartans after they were getting into a good groove. A disheartening moment. Trowbridge, a good server and back row player on for the Vikings.
Mountain View up 9-8, but Palo Alto in control of the serve and in control of that roof. And Mountain View answers. Annie Teep from the middle of the front row. There's Annie. The Spartans take it back, leading 9-8 in game 3, 6 points away from the match.
Still a long way to those 6 points as we get another look at Teep's kill. A lot of road left in this one.
Annie 5'10" sophomore. That one missed by Brown, and it's 10-8 Mountain View. Mountain View answering with a run of their own. The Palo Alto run of 5-0 has been responded with a 4-0 so far. Brown beats the block of Mountain View. That one lifted off the block, and it's side out Palo Alto.
Big chance right here with Allison Orellis serving. Hallie needs a run. They need it now. Mountain View starting to pull away at 10-8.
Jody Antipus set slam again, and it works again. Third time tonight, that has worked. And it's a side out Mountain View.
Julie Yickett-Los was the first player in the De Anza division to do that. I hope she patented it. I hope she's got copyright rights on it because it's been used well by many other players in the division this year.
That one off the block, but Mountain View hauls it in. Now Leschuk. Leschuk's been blocked a bunch of times tonight, but she's not letting it drag the rest of her game down. And the answer, Annie Teep says, you block Christy Leschuk, you're going to have to deal with me. And it's 11-8, 4 points from the match, and a look at the sophomore as Nick Velicities will use his timeout.
And a smart time to use the timeout. We'll get another look. Here comes the block. Teep and Leschuk each had a hand on it. Great play up front. Mountain View, their blocking is the one thing that's really improved about this team in the course of the season. Their blocking has stepped up. I call them smart blocks. They're not a dominating team. They're not like St. Francis where you've got 3 and 4 6-footers flanking the twine. They can get up and they time things well.
Well, can we talk again about the coaching? Because you got to figure the coaching helps figure into that. And Steven Sananastasio got to really take some of the credit for the improvement in this Mountain View squad this year. And, you know, again, this, you know, there are a lot of good coaches in the CCS, but it seems the De Anza division is just top heavy with them, from Gamblin to Velicities to Lyles to Sananastasio to Rip and on and on.
Well, I'll tell you something about Steve. I had a chance to talk with him back in August. And I was tracking him down on the phone I was doing a match earlier this year. I have never met a volleyball coach who was more enthusiastic at the beginning of a season, given what he had coming back and given the track record of his program. Part of that, I think, was because he was from outside the area and he didn't really care too much about the reputations of the bigger programs in the league. He just said, okay, let's go out and make our own mark, and he's done a good job of it.
As a party serves again, Mountain View 4 points away from the match. And a berth in the semifinals, make it 3 points away. 12-8 Mountain View, a 6-0 run here in game 3 after being down 8-6. Leschuk, she wants a piece of the action, but this one's long.
Bit of a gamble by Christie.
Well, it's a good gamble when you're up 12-8 and 2 games to none, but Leschuk just hit that one a little long, and that happens. As a party, that one almost up in the George Devine section.
Did they name a section for me here at Mini? I didn't even go to school here.
Oh, well, we're up here. It's our section. This is the KMVT, George Devine, Andre Polizzi section.
And we can't forget Lazarus Sargenitas and our entire crew, too.
You bet. 12-9, game 4. Game 3. Side out Mountain View.
That had afterburner on it.
Christie a little bit relieved that this one doesn't go long.
Ouch.
Annie Teep at 12-9. Paige Berry, who's had a good third game for Palo Alto. Leschuk push shot. Palo struggling to save this one. Courtney Rose's shot saved. Antipa set slam number 4, point number 13, and game point coming up in a few moments, but, well, actually, no, 13-9. I'm a little ahead of myself.
Mountain View not ahead of themselves right there. Antipus splitting the floor, good vision, and a big error by Teep.
Now service error number 5 for Mountain View, and Teep hit that one too low. Palo Alto will bring back Lindsay Terry, replacing Kristen Trowbridge, and to serve Emily Brown. 13-9, game 3. High school volleyball here, quarterfinal CCS Division III action. That one out, Palo Alto scores, and it's 10-13. Emily Brown trying to rally her troops. Paige Berry's had a great third game. She's in the front row right now. Leschuk off the touch of Lindsay Terry. Terry wasn't quite ready for that one. Side out Spartans.
Big serving rotation coming up for the Spartans. You want to get out of here as quickly as you can. They've had trouble on 13 and on 14. Scoreboard's often been stuck.
We're getting close to Liz Farmer, but they may not need her. That's point number 14. And now, George, game and match point for Mountain View. A chance at a sweep right here.
Mountain View needs to be efficient. They need to do it. They need to do it now.
Antipus, jump serve. Paige Berry hits it long. Mountain View wins in 3. Game number 3, 15-10. Game number 1, 15-10. Game number 2, 15-4. A 3-game and out sweep for the Spartans. What a performance by Mountain View.
Mountain View, I've talked about this all year. They needed to become an efficient volleyball team. A lot of the times they've squandered leads. They've been inefficient on game points and match points. Right there, the essence of efficiency. But one thing that I'm concerned about for the semifinals, they're going to have a layoff until Thursday before they play either Los Gatos or King City. A long time for teams to possibly lose their effectiveness gained here on Saturday.
Well, Palo Alto, a couple of tough losses in game 1 and 3. Mountain View overpowering in game 2, and a dominant performance overall by the Mountain View Spartans. Good serving. They had 6 aces in this match, and they played pretty well blocking up front, and some good shots by Azaparty, Leschuk, and Co leading the way. Mountain View improves on the year to 24-8. Palo Alto winds up 17 and 13. Thanks to our whole crew. Also thanks to the Central Coast section and to Chuck Purdy and the Archbishop Mitty staff. For George Devine, this is Andre Polizzi thanking you for joining us. This has been a presentation of KMBT Channel 6 Sports.